Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyper Roll with Autarch, and a really fun, wild game we have for you today. This is one of those where I almost feel I need to give a disclaimer of do not necessarily do what I do, but this build is very, very strong. You just might want to find a more artful way into it than the brute force method, unless you like gritting your teeth and holding on to the edge of your seat and hoping you survive long enough for it to pay off. And the decision really gets made after the first set of augments. Trade sector, no, bigger shot would be great if I had started with something I knew I was doing, but otherwise, healing orb. Then it says, hey, here's a Nami disco, and it had given me 2 Namis out of the NPC round, so I knew I had the additional Nami, and we could go Disco Dazzler. Now, I mentioned in my 5 builds you should know, this is one of those builds, but it's really weak early. You are going to make use of as many item holders as you can, as you're hoping to end up with Twisted Fate and Blitzcrank as your tank and carry at the end, but getting there can be a little crazy. I will slam items early in this build because I want to try to just stem the bleeding. Lux is a good item holder because she'll tick Dazzler along with Nami, but that by no means guarantees victory. Your goal, if you're going to build this out like this, is to get a backup Nami for the bench, because the other Nami's coming out once you have a shot at Twisted Fate, and just hope that you can steal a win here and there as you go. Other ways into it involve just getting Nami and Tarek, putting them on the bench, and then building a team that can win and flipping over at around 7 or 8. Item-wise, just grab AP items, AP-friendly items, or tank items if that's your only option, but AP is generally preferred because you're going to want them for Twisted Fate, Sona, and Ziggs later on. Now this next team, well, they've got a lot of early game luck. Gold 3-star Vi, Gold 3-star Jinx. I'm not sure how it's going to play out for them because what happens around it will matter, but early game they are going to now dominate. Second set of augments are Prismatic, and New Recruit is pretty much my favorite, but I like to roll the other ones just in case something jumps out that I either hadn't seen before or is going to blow my mind. It allows me to now bring Echo in. Echo is key in this build because he has Sentinel and Spellweaver, which will work with multiple champions. We're going to go ahead and just stack Lux with more AP and hope we can steal another few wins. But the moment I see a team of 6 Moshers, I know this is not going to be one of them. Moshers are very, very strong early game, just from the amount of healing they have, and yeah, that'll take us out. Your goal is to also hold money, so this again, it's going to be a little the antithesis of winning because you're not going to be able to roll and get a lot of 2 stars. You just need that extra Nami, make sure you have a Tarek and a 2-star Gragas, but you just hope that you can steal wins like this along the way. Item-wise, now that I have 3 Twisted Fate items, I can switch over to tank and we just put it on the champions we know are going to leave. Nico is not part of this build, but she's currently ticking Guardian with Tarek, so we have her in and can give her the Sunfire Cape. This is also an awkward part in the build where you have more champions than you can fit around the disco ball, so someone has to be left out. I originally had Lux out, but really, Lulu, yeah, much better. Someone asked me in a recent live if it was hard to 3-star 1 cost in Hyper Roll. The answer is no, and it's because of the headliner mechanic. The only problem is when you 3-star a 1 cost, you're often stuck with them, and that will be a detriment later. For this part of the game, it will remain strong and allow you to win, but endgame, not so much. It is time for the final set of augments, and I don't even have to roll for this. Prismatic ticket is perfect because we are going to be needing a Twisted Fate or Blitzcrank headliner in the next round, and now we'll have lots of rolls to do it. As far as setting up your disco balls, approximately like this. Your goal is to set up essentially what I call a glop of champions in front who are protecting your damage dealers, which are ultimately going to be Twisted Fate, Sona, and Ziggs. We're going to hold on to the Lux right now because she's 2 stars, so hopefully we can steal a win because we are getting a little low on health. And while there are some best-in-slot items for Twisted Fate, Archangel Staff is usually considered very good, Jeweled Gauntlet, I really end up putting together whatever I can because my goal, again, just steal wins where I can get them so I can make it into late game where I'm going to be able to pick up the last 2 discos. Once you get into stage 8, your percentage chance of rolling a 4 headliner at least goes up to 30%, so it is time to roll down and hope that you can get exactly what you're looking for. Sadly, Sentinel is the one trait you don't necessarily want, so you're fine with a Twisted Fate with either Disco or Dazzler and a Blitzcrank with Disco, but not a Blitzcrank with Sentinel. That's not going to be as helpful. And while you're rolling, save any Ziggs or Sonas that you have because they are part of your team. Sona into the damage slot. I've been asked why not the attack speed, and the general answer is that Sona is going to be a large part of your damage in this build, and if you put her into attack speed, you're relying solely on Twisted Fate and Ziggs. The one downfall of Prismatic Ticket is you're going to be doing so much rolling that you're not necessarily going to place everything properly, which is what happened here. Those disco balls, yeah, that's not a good place for my balls, so we're going to have to readjust them after the match, and this one unfortunately ends up being just a throwaway, and we're down to 6 health. Here, pick up the BF sword because we have the tier, Spear of Sojin, excellent item either for Ziggs or Sona. And unfortunately, this is the spot in the game where the phone rang. So I'm now on the phone trying to navigate all of this at once and luckily find a Blitz with a Disco headliner trait. So that's one of our possibilities. I should be putting the Spear of Sojin onto Sona, but somehow I end up putting it onto Nami. I have no clue why. That is a Sona item. That's where it should belong. Either Ziggs or Sona, but not Nami. That is not that bad. And all I can say is luckily round 8 still is only a 4 health loss because I pretty much know in my head this one's done. I'm still on the phone, but it will give you a preview of just how strong Blitz is, because Blitz is able to hold up for a long time. And that's one of the keys, is when we get the 3rd item onto Blitz, he's going to be super tanky for the front line. And especially after rolling through all of our gold and all of the prismatic ticket rolls, we are able to find a gold 3-star Blitz. We can use the champion duplicator to bring up Twisted Fate, then move the Lux items over to Twisted Fate, put in a Lowy that will just tick Bruiser along with Gragas. Then we get the chance for the Ionic Spark for Blitz, which will complete his build and also do a little bit of magic shredding against the opposing team. And now just keep your eye on Blitz, because he is not going to lose much health throughout this entire fight. He is getting healing orbs, but he leads the damage chart and barely gets a scratch in his paint. And again, just keep your eye on Blitz. He is taking the full brunt of Lucian ult and Jinx with a Last Whisper and a Rage Blade, and is barely scratched while still leading the damage on the team and bringing us into the top 4. Final items for the game, nothing fantastic in here. Just going to go ahead and get the Steadfast Heart for Alawi, because Alawi's serving as a secondary tank, I guess you could say. Really, we don't need a secondary tank at this point. Then we can pick up the Spear of Sojin that should have gone on Sona in the first place. While we have a magnetic remover, it was the best item there anyway, so we can go ahead and use it. But the reality is, this is the Blitzcrank show, because Blitz is just going to be able to take tons of damage, shield up, and even heal himself back thanks to the orbs, the healing orbs that we got at the beginning. So he's getting 450 for anything that dies near him, and again, he leads the damage charts. And as for why the Sona damage augment as opposed to speed, you'll see it really here. When Sona does her drop, things just, well, drop. And that is what allows us to get in and finish this off. And she's second on the damage charts here. And it's now down to a 1v1 against that Punk team from earlier in the match. They are trying to find their own 3-star 4 cost to battle this Blitz. They're looking for a Thresh, but I don't think that necessarily even would have helped here. Our backline is really good and could probably end up doing more damage, especially Sona when she does her drop. It's going to add AP to everyone and then also just eradicate champions off the board. But they didn't quite get there, so it's pretty easy for Blitz to finish it off, lead the damage charts. GG for everyone. Hope you enjoyed this wild build. Disco Dazzler does work. Don't go crazy with it though. And as always, have an absolutely awesome day.